Okay guys, so the next thing you're doing is you're going to work through the political cartoons activity that you picked up on the way in. It should already be folded together and stapled. If not, I'll be coming by soon to staple them. The front of the political cartoons should look like this, so go ahead and make sure your name is at the top. The reason we're going to be working on political cartoons with Monroe Doctrine today is because when the Monroe Doctrine came out, when President Monroe published his policy, he published this doctrine, it was really controversial. Not everybody liked it. Some people did, but not everybody did. And so when there's anything controversial that our government does, political cartoons are made of it, right? Political cartoons are either poking fun at something or supporting it, or they're showing that they're against it, whatever it is. It was just a controversial topic, so a lot of political cartoons were drawn about it. So on your STAR test, they usually show a political cartoon when they're asking about the Monroe Doctrine. That's usually how they test this, so we're going to practice that today. So your first one should look like this, and the first thing you're going to do is fill out this section right here with the cross, how it says words, people, symbols, actions. You're just going to look at your picture, write down all the words you see, write down all the symbols you see, actions, and people. Now, remember in political cartoons, people might not necessarily mean you see a person, but just something that embodies maybe a person or a group of people. So go ahead and pause the video and take a minute to do that. Okay, so these are some words that I came up with when I was looking at it. So we had Monroe Doctrine was there, the stop was there, what do you mean off limits? Symbols would be the stop sign, right? That's a symbol. The boundary line for Monroe Doctrine. And a speech bubble is a symbol. Right, people, I would say, would be Europe, Africa, even South America and North America, if you'd like to put that, because that represents groups of people. And then actions would be what Europe is saying, right? When they're saying this, it's telling us that they're angry about this new Monroe Doctrine. Okay, so now go ahead and look at the two questions towards the bottom. The first one is, why is Europe confused about America's stop sign? What have European countries always done? So go ahead and look at your notes. Let's look at the first part of the Monroe Doctrine. It's telling Europe that they can no longer do something that they're used to doing, right? Europe is used to being in control, and now the Monroe Doctrine is saying something else. So go ahead and take a minute to answer this question, and take a minute to answer the second question, which says, what does the Monroe Doctrine mean for Europe? Like, what is Europe going to have to do now that the Monroe Doctrine is out? Or what can they not do now that the Monroe Doctrine is out? So take a minute to pause the video and write your answers. Okay, so for the first one, I came up with that Europe is used to being in charge of the world, so they cannot believe that the little United States is trying to set the rules, right? The United States is still a brand new country, right? We're only on our 5th president, and this is making a big statement when the U.S. passes this Monroe Doctrine. Europe has been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, and they're used to being in charge. So they're like, well, who do you think you are trying to come up with this new policy? We set the rules, not you. And what does the new Monroe Doctrine mean for Europe? It means that they can't interfere in the Western Hemisphere anymore. They're used to colonizing. They're used to monopolizing trade and controlling trade in the Western Hemisphere. They can't do that anymore. So your your answers should look something like this. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. I'm not going to go through all of them with you, but I just want to point out a few things about some of these political cartoons. For this one, what I really want to point out is this guy who's standing on top of the world. All right, his name is Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam shows up in a lot of political cartoons. You might have heard his name before. Whenever you see Uncle Sam, just know that he represents America. He represents our country. So that should help you answer some of these questions. So go ahead and pause, fill out your cross section here, and then answer your questions. Okay, for your next political cartoon, some things that I want to point out after you fill out your cross. The first question is asking about who do you think the little boy represents. Just take note maybe the flag you see, what his flag says, the words that are being used, and kind of the expression that he's making. He's kind of making fun of these old men. So keep that in mind when you're answering who you think he represents and the rest of the questions. So go ahead and pause and answer your questions for this political cartoon. All right, so your next one, what I want to point out to you is, again, this guy here, this is Uncle Sam. So keep that in mind that he represents America. And use your notes and looking at this political cartoon to help you answer these questions and your cross. Take note here that the last question is asking you to answer in 2 complete sentences. So go ahead and pause and answer here. All right, the next political cartoon. This, I just want to point out on your paper, might be kind of hard to see, but these are all flames, all right? And inside the flames, it does say the word war. So just go ahead and make sure that you can see that. Fill out your cross. Go ahead and answer your questions. Go ahead and pause now. Okay, our next one. So again, just want to point out here that this hat that has been put down on this part of the world says Monoroe Doctrine, and the hat belongs to Uncle Sam. So take a minute here, fill out your cross, answer your questions. Okay, and this last one, a couple things that I want to point out before you answer, is that this is Uncle Sam. So think about maybe who would be handing over this bowl and what the bowl says to Uncle Sam, and kind of what does that say about how we portray other countries that are not America, right? So take a minute and answer your questions. All right, when you are done, go ahead and make sure that you glue this down on page 107 next to your notes for today.